Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing great, whether it be night or day, wherever you are. If you're new, hi, welcome to the channel, and realms am I glad that you can join us today for another story that I wrote, which is a Mikey X listener. As always, links for the music used in this video will be down below, and further announcements will be said after the video. I hope you guys enjoy. It was dark, and the room was barely lit, with a sliver of moonlight seeping through your window. You had already bid goodnight to basically everyone hours ago, and yet here you were, left alone with your thoughts. It was quite the multitude, mostly floating around on what happened that day. Career counseling. The dreaded day when a tidbit of reality that you're not gonna be a student forever hits you. You couldn't help but grumble a bit as you shifted on your side, trying to find the colder side of the sheets. What would I want to be in the future? You mumbled to yourself. You haven't really given it that much thought recently, as every other time that you dwelled on it, you couldn't help but think that there's always more time, and it was too early to be thinking of such, right? Enjoy the days and the people that you were around with. Do good in school and maybe get employed. Then what? Was that really all you wanted to do with your life? Was that all there is to it? Maybe you have a passion you want to explore? The counselor's voice echoed in your head. What was that supposed to be? If you had found it already, then you wouldn't be questioning yourself like this, right? Your fingers trailed over your sheets in search of your phone, as if your thought wasn't hell enough. The blinding screen felt like it. You didn't even know what urged you to do so. It's not like anyone was readily available at midnight, nor can your conscience deal with the guilt of depriving them of sleep on a school night, just so you could ask them what their aspirations were? Well, your palm was about to go slack when the device sang a familiar tune. You would have loved hearing this. Realms, you even sneaked a dance when no one was watching. Only this time, in momentary panic, you jolted, nearly throwing the phone in an attempt of lowering its deafening assault. The name that your screen displayed surprised you, to say the least. As soon as your finger made contact with the screen, you were bombarded by an obvious gust of wind on the other end.
Knew it. You were up.
A familiar voice spoke.
Mikey, even if I wasn't, you really think I'd be able to sleep through my ringtone? And what do you want? It's a school night.
You retorted, huffing out. Truthfully, his voice painted a small smile on your lips, thankful for the momentary reprieve that it brought upon the chaos in your head. You knew he mirrored the expression you had on the other end, but you still couldn't wrap your head around what might have been causing that gusty sound. That was, until it ceased, and you realized so did the soft hum of a motorcycle. The cold gust of air and the soft hum of the ride underneath you was not really what you expected to be hitting your senses moments later. Realms, you wouldn't have even agreed, if you can even call it that, to graciously part with your toasty sheets if it weren't for the threat of him breaking a window to come and get you himself, if he had to. That, or A, he'll wake up someone if he starts yelling, or B, get the cops called on him if he breaks in, which he seemed very adamant to do so. Times like these, you couldn't help but wonder why it was you that he had targeted rather than his beloved Kenny. Moments later, shivers ran down your spine from being clad in simple clothing, barely able to fix yourself before he lost his patience. You didn't try your luck, 'cause he seemed pissed. The whirring stopped and you finally were released of the icy temperature that the wind had enforced on you. If it hadn't been for Mikey's warmth, as he prompted you to cling onto his waist, you might have froze behind him. But where exactly? Huh? He got off the motorcycle and walked a few steps before stopping. Its lights illuminated him, making him look more intimidating, but yet...
Are you kidding me? You dragged me out for a convenience store run?
You growled, nearly seething comically yourself. As soon as he turned around, his dead, intimidating eyes met yours in a stern look that made you do a double take as he walked back to you with that expression. Your brows knotted at the sight and flicked his forehead.
Cut it out. That's not gonna work on me. Be glad I didn't decide on throwing the helmet at you instead.
You deadpanned. It was silent for a while before he showed a semblance of a smile, cracking onto his usual light-hearted glee. He had only been doing so to lessen your resistance, rather than actually trying to scare you. Not like he ever managed before, and nor did he want to. For some reason, he felt inclined to do anything but that. Strange, isn't it? He confessed to such, and playfully dragged you with him. If it had been anyone else, they might have shivered on the spot and asked you, how were you still alive? But for realm's sake. You two went in, and he made a beeline towards some of his favorite, dorayaki and taiyaki, chucking you a few as you placed them in the basket.
Okay, seriously, why though?
You asked once more as he made you choose between some beverages.
Mikey?
He shrugged at the choices and simply put both in the basket, as he then took it from you in a carefree manner. As if further surprising you, he was indeed the one paying for all of it. You were dumbfounded even as you left for the parking lot outside.
Mikey? Seriously, what's up?
This time, you were really worried. He'd never intimidated you, but this might just actually do the trick. He took a bite of the fish-shaped treat and looked up.
See? Isn't this better than your ceiling?
He quipped calmly with a smile. You look up as well. All your worries seemed to vanish, well, momentarily, as the sight of the night sky enamored you. Much so that you didn't even notice your company turning to you. You had to hand it to him. His timing was perfect for this one.
I swear if I manage to unexpectedly doze off tomorrow, my excuse shall be, it's Mikey's fault.
You joked, still looking up.
Then just don't go. Problem solved.
He said, stuffing his face of what, to your surprise, what was left of apparently the second treat already. When did he even finish the first one?
Haha, very funny. If only it was that simple.
You retorted. He looked at you quizzically and tilted his head, stating that
life really is much simpler if you make it such.
You stared at him, unable to decipher if he was joking, serious, or simply daft. Surely neither of the latter, right? Hopefully, right?
I can't even... I can't. If I don't do this, what then?
You paused, mind drifting back to the reason that you couldn't sleep in the first place.
I don't even know what I want to be after all this. How much more if I don't do it?
His smile returned and wordlessly placed a hand on your head. This comforted you in more ways than any inspiring quote or saying could do.
How about you? What do you want to be?
You managed to ask, making him turn back to you once more.
I want to be someone who's there for the people I care about.
Well, you can say that you didn't see that coming. It might have not been the direct answer that you were looking for, like businessman, teacher, lawyer, or something of the sort. But it was an answer that you knew he meant deep down. Albeit how things are, you knew for sure that none of the people that you know had purer intentions than him. You definitely proved yourself wrong since you first met. Back then, you could hear the murmurs of those around you, but you paid no attention as you read from the notes you held in hand. It wasn't like you did this frequently, but that day you were cramming for a particularly harder test. Due to the recent rain, it wasn't like it was dangerous, as vehicles had been deterred from the area, save for a few motorcycles you saw in your peripheral. Pausing momentarily to fix the strap on your shoulder while I still stuck on the page, a curse nearly escaped your mouth when someone collided with you, making you drop your notes. You would have apologized, but seeing as they stood there wordlessly before you, as your belongings became soggy near your feet, you were pissed. You looked up to see a duo of what seemed like delinquents. Great. Instead, words just slipped out of your mouth before you even realized it.
Oi. Rather than me, why don't you glare at a book instead? Might teach you to not bump into people and ruin their notes.
By the looks of it, they didn't even go to your school, do they? Or maybe they do, and you just never realized?
Kenny, you really got owned there. They're interesting, huh?
Mikey burst out laughing that day at how you glared back at Draken. You interested them, much so that it resulted in frequent meetings. Or rather, that just meant Mikey hovered around you when you didn't meet them at the place they told you to after the first encounter. Anyone would have thought that it was a bad idea after all. But now that you look back at it, Mikey just apparently genuinely wanted to be friends.
If the me from less than a month ago saw me now, they'd be horrified.
You muttered, silently laughing at how wrong you were. They even managed to introduce you to Toman, and the more that you got to know them, the more that you were proven wrong.
Just do what you want to do.
You then turned to him and spoke.
Right. So does this mean I get to freely kick you in the face then?
You joked. He smiled and ruffled your hair.
Just be prepared to face the consequences.
You smiled back. Mikey, Kenny, Tobin in general. A world you would never have even thought that you'd be dragged into. And yet, here you were. Friends with people that you initially thought did the things that they wanted without regard for other people. And yet, really, they do the things they do for their own reasons. At first, you even questioned as to why Mikey was the leader, aside from being strong. But soon realized that it was more than that. He cared for the group more than just that. He cared for every single one of the members as well. And now, because of him, you grew to do the same.
Hey, why did you really come to my place? What's all this for? Is there something going on?
You asked. He simply pointed to your head, saying that
There is, but in there.
truthfully, he was about to ask you to eat with him in Draken that afternoon, but decided against it when he saw your face as you parted from your peers. You were lost in thought, and he knew better to bother you later on than that time, knowing you'd be kept up by it anyways. And he was right, unfortunately. You might not be in the gang officially, but you were friends, and he cared about you, more than he admits even to himself.
Sounds like a cheesy way of saying I don't want to deal with drama.
We don't. If there's an issue, we fight it out. Sometimes it helps a lot.
He replied.
Right. And most times it doesn't. You guys keep getting hurt because of it, and yet you still decide to continue. 'Cause what? It's cool?
You raised a brow. He smiled and placed a hand on your head, which you tried to remove but failed.
It is, but more importantly, it's for those who we choose to protect.
You stopped trying to remove the hand and just held it, sharing quite the bitter memories. They've been through a lot, even just in the short time that you met them. The fights, arguments, nearly Draken, and Baji. You paused. You now realized passion wasn't really what you were lacking. Rather, looking at them, you realized what you were lacking was a reason.
Mikey, stop calling me at night and ruining my sleep schedule.
You said, standing up. He became wary of your tone, but as your eyes softened, he heard you out.
I'm going to need to ace everything. I promise. I'm going to become a successful doctor and help you dumbasses out. I can't stop you from hurting yourselves, but I can at least fix you up in the future. I may not be in Toman, but I care about you. Guys, a lot.
You stammered the latter, realizing what you just said. Or what you could have had. It wasn't wrong, but it seemed the reddening in your ears signified a reason that even you didn't understand. At least, not yet.
I'll try my best to protect you. But don't go looking for death himself either.
Mikey smiled through all of this. He knew he was right from the start. You were an interesting lot, but now it just isn't that. Or rather, it isn't just that. You're definitely someone worth keeping. Your nervousness overpowered the cold that you felt as you finally finished your snacks, but this made you rattle nonetheless. Mikey had been noticing it for quite a while, but chose not to say anything about it. But now...
Don't give it back. I guess you could say this is my way of protecting you.
He says, covering you with his jacket.
Yeah, right. Guess who made me cold in the first place, not giving me enough time in fear of someone breaking in?
You rolled your eyes at him. He grinned at this and shrugged, making you laugh as well. Neither of you realized anything before you just felt him hug you tightly. As you found your resolve, so did he. He swore to himself he was not going to let you go. And knowing him, once he's decided on something, there wasn't a chance of him taking it back or going against it. And he knew he doesn't have a reason to ever want to.
Just be prepared to keep...
Maybe you have a passion you want to explore. Maybe you have a passion you want to explore. Maybe you have a passion you want to explore. Maybe you have a passion you want to explore. Maybe you have a passion you want to explore. Maybe you have a passion you want to explore. I swear, if I manage to doze off in class, the only reason... What? Imagine the ringtone being the opening crybaby. To graciously part with. It was you that he had to... You might have been... He got off the... He got off the... Yes, I can... Words. As he walked back to you with that expression, voice come out, and simply put both in the basket. He kept... You were cramming for a particularly... yeah. To fixation... It seemed that the... But this made you rattle. Oh my... On the regular... Pronunciation, I don't even know what to say. Okay, so that was it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this story. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing, as I do post 2 to 3 times a week on the regular posting scheds. And again, links will be in the description down below. Also, my Discord tag in the about page of my YT if you want to interact. Just feel free to DM me. And if you have any original stories that I can read about that you want to submit, or have any ideas, headcanon, scenarios, whatever they may be, just DM me or place it in the comments down below, and I would definitely love to read and make stories out of them. I have just been sucked into this ever since me and a friend decided to marathon the whole thing out of whim, and it was worth it, even though I passed out at the last episode, so I have to rewatch that again, or at least the last episode. As much as tempting as it is to rewatch the whole thing, I don't think that my sleep-deprived self would be able to handle it. But, okay, that's really it. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay hydrated, stay safe. Bye.